Business-to-business trading is all about negotiation, bargaining, and market power. Ideally, we would want there to be plenty of sellers in competition with each other, since otherwise somebody could gain market power and drive prices through the roof. But sometimes, even with few sellers who hold some market power, prices may stay low because buyers have market power themselves. So how important is competition among sellers as opposed to buyers being big enough to demand a better deal? Our research looks at upstream competition among sellers and downstream buyer power in the UK's brick industry. It turns out there's more to the brick industry than you might think. Upstream, there are a small number of similar sellers with brick manufacturing plants close to clay deposits. And because bricks are fired in kilns that are best run continuously, while brick demand can vary over time, sellers often keep significant brick inventories. Downstream, there are many different types of brick buyers. There are builders who buy just what they need for a construction project. And there are many more retailers who act as intermediaries. Big buyers are likely to bargain with sellers over the terms of big contracts. We find that on average, bricks tend to travel about 100 kilometers from their manufacturer to the buyer. That being said, only about 1 in 10 contracts involve bricks from the closest possible supplier. The rest of the time, we can say that one firm is invading a rival firm's turf. Because of this geographic overlap, the Competition Commission in a past investigation of the brick sector argued that the market for bricks really is national. Firms can in fact compete without having to be too close to their buyers. Our research delves further into this. We look at the biggest brick makers in the UK and all their sales from 2001 to 2006. That's over 600,000 different contracts and a ton of bricks. We can take into account everything needed to compare different kinds of buyer-seller relationships. What we learn is that when it comes to buyers having power to get a better deal, upstream competition is more important than downstream buyer size in this industry. But what kind of differences do we see? Being a big buyer definitely helps. You can get bulk discounts and lower prices than smaller firms in the same place as you. In this case, we see that big buyers pay on average about 3% less than smaller ones. But ultimately, it is more important to have a range of brick makers to choose from. These sellers compete for your business and are more likely to give you a discount if they know you can always go elsewhere. Many big buyers have established supply relationships with a number of sellers. So when negotiating with a seller, a buyer who has more established supply relationships has more credible outside options. The more outside options a buyer has, the lower the price the buyer pays. So if you're buying 1,000 bricks, the average effect of going from 1 supplier to 4 suppliers is that the price you pay is roughly half. If you're a small buyer, the price is less than half. The key thing is that the effect is different for different sizes of firms, and in a way that you might not expect. In fact, our results show that sometimes size can work against you. If your local brick requirements are so large that a close rival seller is unlikely to have the capacity to meet your requirements, you have few or no credible outside options, and so your benefits from competition are limited. Now that I've laid out the brick industry, what's all this cement to me? Often, competition authorities look at the effect of competition on the average firm. Our research shows that the same competitive environment can have different effects on different sized firms. There are lots of building blocks when it comes to understanding competition. This new method from our research is the next big brick in building a better understanding. Sorry, I couldn't help it.